Dear students, you have perhaps observed in your surroundings some insects, butterflies, or some animals which become visible to you only when they move or fly. They are so same in the color or shape with the surroundings where they rest that you are not able to recognize them. That phenomenon or device exhibited by the animals for their protection from predators is known as mimicry, which is the subject matter of today's video. We will learn from the video what is mimicry, how animals exhibit mimicry to protect themselves in the environment, what are various types of mimicry, and its significance. The term mimicry is derived from Latin mimicus or Greek mimikos, which means to imitate closely or to simulate. The English naturalist Henry Walter Bates in 1862 propounded the theory of mimicry based on the study of butterflies from the forest of Brazil. He defined mimicry as the resemblance in external appearance, shape, and color between members of widely distinct families. The International Zoological Congress in Washington in 1963 provided a more comprehensive definition. Mimicry is the superficial but close resemblance of one organism to another or to some natural objects among which it lives that secures its concealment, protection, or some other advantage so that it either escapes itself from the observation or advertises as being harmful, which is not actually the case. Mimicry can be classified into three categories: protective mimicry, aggressive mimicry, and Batesian and Mullerian mimicry. Protective mimicry is that type of mimicry in which the organisms mimic other organisms or the natural object in form, color, or behavior to protect themselves from their predators. It could be obtained either by concealment or by warning or by cryptic structures. So protective mimicry can be divided into three types: concealment mimicry, warning mimicry, and cryptic structure mimicry. In case of concealment mimicry, the organisms conceal or camouflage themselves by three ways. Number one, by changing their coloration to fit the background. Number two, by changing the place to a suitable background for resting. And number three is by mimicking the living or dead objects. Now, let's explore the examples of mimicry in which animals change their color to match with the background. The white crab, Cryptolithos, harmonizes so perfectly with the white pebbles on the beach that it is very difficult to recognize it. Its smooth, rounded shape, texture, and white color almost completely resemble the pebbles. Some flatfishes are matched with the background. Their skin contains several groups of cells of different colors whose contents spread or contract to match the body color with the background. It takes only a few hours for these fishes to harmonize their color with the substrate. The pupa of the swallowtail butterfly Papillomachon look green when attached to the plant stems and become gray when attached to the tree trunks or stones. When an animal is not capable of changing its color, it moves to seek out a suitable background for resting. The leaf green colored animals sit on green leaves dark-colored animals on tree trunks, and sand-colored animals on the sand. As you can see in the pictures, the caterpillar of noctuid moth, Hyloicus pinastri, is blue-green in color in juvenile stage and bears longitudinal white stripes, so rests on pine needles where it is very difficult to be located. But after last molt, it rests on the brown twigs as it becomes brown in color with irregular white and black patches. The caterpillar of geometric pine moth, Bupalus pinearius, are green with white longitudinal stripes because they always sit on pine needles. This protects them from the predatory birds. Students, the third way of concealing mimicry is mimicking the living or dead objects. Some animals mimic some other organisms or natural objects in form, color, or behavior. Indian deadleaf butterfly Colima paralacta is the best example in this case. Its wings are brilliantly colored above but have dull brown undersurface resembling a dry leaf. When it takes rest, its wings are folded with their upper surface together and the exposed undersurface of the wings resembles a dry leaf. Moreover, each wing has a line resembling the midrib and notches to match the leaf, so it cannot be distinguished from a dead leaf when it rests. Phyllium, the leaf insect, possesses flattened and expanded body and limbs, green in color, having irregular yellowish spots which simulates a leaf with fungus or rust grown upon it. The Australian seahorse, Phylopteryx equus, has leaf-like cutaneous outgrowths over the body, which very much resemble to the fronds of sea witch. The stick insect, having slender body, attenuated limbs, sympathetic coloration, and slow movement, resembles with a walking stick. The stick caterpillars of geometric moth, Solenia tetralunaria, resembles a small twig in color and shape. When they take rest, they get stiffened by grasping the branch with their hind legs and stand out of the branch at an angle. Its pointed head resembles the terminal buds and the outgrowths on the side resemble the lateral bud of the twig. Students, the next type of protective mimicry is warning mimicry. In this type of mimicry, the non-poisonous and harmless organisms mimic the poisonous and harmful organisms. Palatable or tasteful edible forms resemble and advertise to be non-palatable, distasteful or non-edible. Let's see some examples. Certain brightly colored non-poisonous coral snakes of the family Colubridae resemble poisonous coral snakes of the family Elapidae to elude the enemy and escape themselves. The distasteful and inedible monarch butterfly, Danais, is imitated by tasteful edible viceroy butterfly, Lamentis. Again, some spiders that are associated with ants not only have the same warning colors but also the same general appearance of the ants. So they are also mistaken for ants by their enemies or predators. Cryptic structures. Some animals exhibit several devices to mislead or misguide their enemies or predators to protect themselves, among which the two main structures are black spot or eye spots and dummy head. Butterflies, caterpillars, peacock butterflies, etc. possess simple rounded black spots or black spots with light contrast rings or exactly eye-like spots on their wings or body. So at the time of danger, their sudden display by the animal frightens off the predators. Example, South American peacock butterfly Otomeris memusa has eye spots on the hind wings. Some fishes such as Notopteras sitola and flatfishes, they also have eye spots on their bodies. Eye spots are also present on the shell of the Burmese soft turtle. Since the predators attack the prey towards the eye, they are misguided or misdirected by the eye spots present at the posterior end, and the prey gets chance to escape from the predators. In some animals, the posterior end of the body is modified to resemble the head, and interestingly, their true head remains hidden below the body or becomes inconspicuous. Usually, predators attack towards the head of the prey, and so they are misguided or misled. Ultimately, the prey escapes and the predator searches it in empty place. As you can see in the figure A, the lanternfly from Thailand, the conspicuous structures on the posterior end resembling antenna, black eyes and black beak, these all are in reality the appendages of the wing tips. Its actual head is small and remains hidden below the body. In figure B, the butterfly of genus Thecla, it also exhibits a dummy head at the hind end of the wings. It converges color stripes on the wings and has antenna-like appendages on the wing tips. In figure C, Trinidad linus squats on ventral surface with its head pointed downwards. Its wings are produced behind into a pair of antenna-like structures, giving it appearance of a head. Some snakes, for example Cylindrophis rufus, when faced with opponents, hold their head still and move the tip of their tail to divert the attention of the animal away from the actual head. Students, the second type of mimicry is aggressive mimicry. It is exhibited by mainly carnivorous animals such as fishes and spiders, which either conceal themselves so that not easily recognized or elude the prey. There may be different types of aggressive mimicry such as concealing mimicry, alluring mimicry, conscious mimicry or simulation to death, terrifying appearance, warning colors and warning signals. In concealing mimicry, the predators develop cryptic colors so as to blend with the surrounding or mimic to its model and are not distinguishable. So it can easily attack its prey. Some spiders resemble in shape and color to the flowers on which they live. Thus, by hiding themselves, they are able to attack prey on bees which visit flowers to collect honey or nectar. The zone-tailed hawk Butia albonotetus glides along with vulture in America and has close resemblance to them in color and shape of the wings. Vultures do not prey upon small animals, so the hawk takes the chance and dives from the vulture group to take its prey. It was first observed by E. G. Peckham. Alluring mimicry. Here the animal possesses some lure to attract its prey also blends itself with the surroundings not to be distinguishable. For example, some spiders resemble the flowers of orchid, and when insects are lured by it and come to collect nectar or honey nearer to them, they attack the insects. Anglerfish Lophias lives at the sea bottom and camouflages with it. It has a elysium, that is the first fin ray of the dorsal fin is located on the dorsal edge of upper lip some distance in front of the eyes, which can rotate freely in its ball and socket joint. Now it also bears a flaccid cutaneous appendage, the bait at its free end, and the bait is held in front of mouth, which swings in all directions. As soon as other fish snaps at this dummy prey, the anglerfish swallows it immediately. The females of firefly genus Photiris mimics the flashing patterns to attract fireflies of genus Photinus as mating signal. The male Photinus are also attracted to these flashes and are caught in the death trap. Some spiders, lasso and bolo, produce a single horizontal thread from which they suspend themselves instead of spinning their web. Another thread is grasped with one of their legs with a terminal sticky droplet. So the thread acts as a trap and aimed at the insect or prey flying nearby it. Conscious mimicry. In this type, some animals behave as if they are dead bodies when they face any danger. They exhibit conscious imitation. For example, American possum Didelphis virginiana becomes unconscious and simulates as dead. Hard-bodied beetles fall down like pebbles when they are about to be seized by the enemy. Some harmless or defenseless animals assume terrifying appearance and produce various noises to frighten the enemy. For example, grasshoppers are green in color, but to frighten the enemy, they spread their wings or expose red spots from the underwings so that the enemy is confused and the grasshopper manages to escape. Some animals exhibit bright shining warning colors such as red, yellow or black, either in patches or stripes. These advertise the unpleasant taste, toxic nature and foul smell. For example, Danais, a butterfly, and Torpedo, the electric ray fish, have warning colors. Some animals produce warning signals in some form or other to warn their predators. Rattlesnakes produce rattling noise while moving on the ground to fool the enemies. Rabbits use their white tail for this purpose. The tail moves and seems to vanish and reappear as the rabbit makes sharp turns. The predator is forced to refocus each time. It slows the attacker down and giving the rabbit time to escape. Basically, the tail distracts and confuses the predators. Students, the third type of mimicry is Batesian and Mullerian mimicry. In Batesian mimicry, the palatable and unprotected species of animals imitate the unpalatable or well-protected species. It was introduced by Bates in 1862. If one species of palatable butterfly simulates the other unpalatable species of butterfly, it will not be captured by the predatory birds considering the palatable as unpalatable for them. So the mimic gets advantage of the model. For example, distasteful and inedible monarch butterfly Danae's is imitated by viceroy butterfly lamentis, which is edible and may easily be preyed upon. Recently, research have shown controversies regarding monarch and viceroy butterfly to be the example of Mullerian mimicry instead of Batesian mimicry, depending on its tasteful or untasteful nature. Since it is not confirmed yet, so students, you can do some research on it and enhance your knowledge. Now another example of Batesian mimicry. The ant mimicking spiders that are associated with ants not only have some warning colors but also the same general appearance and hence are mistaken for ants by their enemies. In Mullerian mimicry, two or more unpalatable species resemble to each other. In this type of mimicry, both model as well as the mimic is benefited. For example, the tenucid moth and the wasp both are unpalatable and the moth resembles the wasp. Now, if a bird does not eat or consume a wasp, knowing that wasp is unpalatable, it will also not touch the moth, which mimics the wasp. Again, other animals which do not prey upon the moth, knowing it unpalatable, will not prey upon the wasp, considering the wasp as the moth. Mullerian mimicry was introduced by Fritz Müller in 1864. In this type, there is no model, all are mimic and all are benefited. Now, let's combine them and learn the basic differences between Batesian and Mullerian mimicry. The Batesian mimicry was discovered by Henry Walter Bates, whereas Mullerian mimicry was discovered by Fritz Müller. In Batesian mimicry, the palatable species mimics the unpalatable one, whereas Mullerian mimicry, two or more unpalatable forms resemble each other. In Batesian mimicry, the unpalatable species is model and palatable species is mimic. But in Mullerian mimicry, there is no model. All species are mimics and they mimic each other. In case of Batesian mimicry, the mimic gets the benefit. But in Mullerian mimicry, all the related species are benefited. The necessary conditions for the occurrence of protective mimicry have been analyzed by Wallace, and they are: the mimics and models must occupy the same area. The number of mimics should be less than the number of models so that the deceived animals encounter the mimics less often than the model. Mimics should be always defenseless and they should mimic offensive or harmful animals. The imitators should differ from their allies. Even if the imitation is minute, it should be external and visible. So students, let's conclude the video by understanding the significance of mimicry. It appears to be the protection of individuals against enemies. It is naturally of the survival value and of evolutionary significance. Natural selection, which is an important factor in evolution, favors mimicry as it assures better survival and greater success in the multiplication of race. Thank you, students.